Time for tonight's rewrite. I wish I could remember who suggested to me last week, the first person to suggest to me last week, that pass this bill would become the yes we can of the Obama re-election campaign. Because it has.
Pass this jobs bill. Pass this bill now. Pass this bill. Pass this bill.
But the Obama campaign is going to have to rewrite that slogan if Congress passes only some of his bill, like, say, the payroll tax cut that both parties can agree on, which is actually the largest piece of the American Jobs Act. The Obama camp is going to have to come up with something like pass the rest of this bill, or pass whatever's left of this bill, or pass that thing about corporate jets, and never mind that it actually refers to all general aviation aircraft, including single-engine propeller planes. For 3 long days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, the White House tried to sell the notion that, sure, it was possible to pass the American Jobs Act intact. Republicans, recognizing that they are perhaps the least popular congressional party in history at the moment, politely refrained from saying, in the clearest possible way, immediately, obviously we will rip this bill apart and only pass the tax cut parts that we like, and we won't pass any of the tax revenue increases, and we sure don't feel like passing any of the new spending pieces. Today began with the Obama campaign thinking they might just be able to get away with this fantasy for at least one more day.
We're not in a negotiation to break up the package, and it's not an a la carte menu.
And the president did his part, insisting that the political architecture of the American Jobs Act included a brilliantly constructed trap for Republicans.
Should we keep tax loopholes for oil companies? Or should we use that money to give small business owners a tax credit when they hire new workers? Should we keep tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires? Or should we put teachers back to work so our kids can graduate ready for college and good jobs? Should we keep tax loopholes for oil companies? Or should we use that money to give small business owners a tax credit when they hire new workers? Should we keep tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires? Or should we put teachers back to work so our kids are ready to graduate from college and get a good job? Do we keep tax loopholes for oil companies, or do we put teachers back to work? Should we keep tax breaks for millionaires and billionaires, or should we invest in education and technology and infrastructure? Do you want to keep tax loopholes for oil companies? No! Or do you want to renovate more schools like Fort Hays so that construction workers have jobs again? Do you want to keep tax breaks for multimillionaires and billionaires? Or do you want to put teachers back to work and help small businesses and cut taxes for middle-class families?
I pointed out as soon as the president announced the general shape of his bill on Thursday night that several congressional committees would have jurisdiction over the several different parts of the bill, and that there was no parliamentary procedure available like the reconciliation process that could keep the bill intact when brought to the Senate or House floor. Of course, if the Senate, including a handful of Republicans and the Republican-controlled House, wanted to suddenly become cooperative, they could do anything. They could easily hold this kind of bill intact, but they're not going to do that, and nothing could make them do that. Democrats have been floating the idea that they can take the bill up in the Senate, pass it, and count on their legislative momentum and the president's pass this bill speech-making to force Republicans in the House to take action. I don't want to say it's impossible for the Senate Democrats to pass the bill. I've been wrong about legislative outcomes before, and I'll be wrong again. But let's just note that Mitch McConnell only needs 41 Republican senators to vote with him to keep the American Jobs Act from proceeding on the Senate floor, and there are 47 Republicans in the Senate. So let's pretend for a moment that 7 Republican senators have a sudden and huge change of heart about cooperating with this president, and that every Democrat in the Senate up for re-election in a swing state decides they can go along with every tax increase in the president's bill, and the Senate passes the president's bill intact. It would be immediately blue-slipped by the House of Representatives. Congressional speak, a blue slip is a rejection notice attached to any tax bill that originates in the Senate. And as you may think of the American Jobs Bill as a jobs bill, but according to parliamentary rules of the House and the Senate, it is a tax bill. Because any bill with any changes in the tax code, even just one sentence of change in the tax code and another 1,000 sentences about jobs or anything else, is still ruled a tax bill. And all tax bills must originate in the House of Representatives. And that is not one of the many parliamentary rules that Congress has written for itself. It is actually the only parliamentary procedural rule that is written into the Constitution of the United States, Article 1, Section 7, Clause 1. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives. So now you can ask yourself, what are the chances of John Boehner and Eric Cantor's House of Representatives taking up the American Jobs Act and passing it in full and sending it over to the Senate so it can be passed in identical form and sent to the president for his signature? I'm going to give you a second to think about that. Okay? Done? Good. Now you've caught up to what the White House already knew before it introduced the bill, that the best they could hope for is that the bill will be passed in pieces, which is why the president finally told a roundtable of journalists, quote, "Obviously, if they pass parts of it, I'm not going to veto those parts. I will sign it, but I will then say, give me the rest. And I will keep on making that argument as long as the need is there to put people back to work." So there you have it. Give me the rest. That's what the Obama slogan will morph into if Congress passes some of the president's bill. Now, given what we've seen this Congress do since the Republicans took over the House of Representatives, it is well within the realm of possibility that the president will get none of his bill passed. In fact, getting nothing is more likely than the president actually getting the bill passed intact. So your guess is as good as mine about which line you're going to hear in President Obama's convention speech next year. Pass this bill or give me the rest.